Yeah.
RK3
SCC.
in the
Sir.
house.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I am so glad. Happy Monday, y'all. Hey, what's up, Sir Charles? Happy Monday to you, brother.
Happy Monday to you.
Yeah.
How you doing today, man?
I'm doing awesome, man. I cannot complain. Today is Monday. It is sunny outside. Well, it's sunny outside. I'm in my office, and I kind of darkened it on purpose so I could get a clean and clear look.
I got you.
Yeah, man. We gotta be prepped for video. Not so I don't have that like dot shining in my head from the window. You know.
Makeup just left. Trust me, I understand.
Yeah. So what's going on, man? What's happening with you today, man?
It's one of those things, man. I was a little bit down, and the elements, the forces of Eve Al tried to get me over the weekend. Had to attack some challenges, but I'm back on board. Got some challenges with the website too, so I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
My face. My online presence has been compromised. So that's all good, though.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm glad to be chatting with you today, man. I hope that people who are on, as a matter of fact, if you're on and you just kind of want to hang out, we were hanging out with us for a second. You came on and you saw the title. You saw what did we say? 3 ways to navigate the con game or understanding the con game. Come on, go ahead and just type your name in the chat or just type #live if you're watching this live, or if you're watching this on the replay, type #replay, whether you're on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Periscope, or on YouTube. All of those, just go ahead and share that with us. Anyway, so let's start the conversation, man. We in talking a little bit about what we were going to be, some things that we're going to be doing in just a few weeks. We started to talk about this topic of the con game. So when we talk about the con game, man, what were you talking about when you mentioned the con game?
Well, it takes me back, and I mean, maybe 10, 20 years ago, when somebody said I was working with a direct sales company, and so many people are definitely afraid of sales. Oh, I don't like to sell. No. They don't realize that every day of their lives, of our lives, we're always selling. Even if you're trying to sell your loved one on what movie to see, what restaurant to go to, you're trying to convince them or, get them to buy into your idea, what you have a taste for. Mm-hmm. And life is basically sales. But people don't see it that way because we don't walk around talking about sales. Mm-hmm. So as I fast forward about, like I said, 10, 20 years ago, I remember this guy was saying, look, man, if you want to do well with this company, you got to realize it's a con game. And I'm like, oh, no, something illegal. I don't have anything to do with no con game. He said, look, it's all a con game. If you're not confident, then you're just not going to make it.
Wow.
And then it hit you right then and right there.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's, I think it's funny how we attribute negative things to certain words. I mean, so when you hear con, people kind of think of convict, right?
Yep.
But it's really the confidence. And I was actually watching the movie, what was it? Ocean's 13, I think it was. And they referred to it. He said, I'm a confidence man. Yeah. And he said some people refer to that as a con man. It's really a confidence man. What I'm doing, I'm not tricking you. What I'm doing is gaining your confidence. My job is to gain your confidence. And of course, I use that example, and people say, but that's a negative example, Robert. you're talking literally about a movie where people were robbing people, but. It's I think it all kind of comes from the same place. Influence and persuasion and sales and authority and all of that kind of comes from this same root. Can we get connected? Can we get on the same page? Can I get you to trust me? Right. And then inside of all of that, before I get you to trust me, I've got to have a certain level of trust in myself in order to believe that there are certain things that I can bring to pass, right? That I can manifest,
Right.
that I can make happen. So you brought that up. So let's talk for a second just about you know, confidence. What
Yeah, well,
exactly?
it's so funny that,
Yeah,
that again we're talking about this because I have family members that do different things, and when earlier in my work career I was in sales, like I said, I was selling insurance, and
yeah,
in the Bronx, I sold $1 million in the South Bronx. Can you believe
wow.
that?
A
So
million dollars of what?
life insurance.
Okay.
I'm talking about
I had to
whole life
ask, man.
term,
I grew up in the Bronx.
annuity. I mean, they're having fires all the time, so people were wondering, how could you possibly sell insurance? We're the people if they're having fires every single day. But the
Yeah,
thing was, because I was in sales and then I was doing direct sales at another point, which landed me in places like Acapulco, New Mexico. I took my team there, and
yeah,
I've done a lot of things in that direct selling lifestyle, that industry.
yeah.
And my sister would say, "Oh, you got the gift of gab."
Wow,
And for some of you that may not know, and at another time I'll go deeper into it. For over 20 some odd years of my life, I was a substance abuser. And that's
wow.
the nice way of putting it. That's not what we say around the way. So now, after the fact, that life is beyond me, or behind me, I should say.
Mm.
Um, and my sister would say, "Oh, he got the gift of gab. He talked to the animals if they listen." And I'm like, "There's nothing wrong with that,
Doctor
But
Doolittle.
you know, but at the same time, it's like people hear the gift of gab, they hear
Yeah.
con gang, they hear confiscate, and it's always a negative connotation to it.
Hmm.
And I began to say to myself, you know what? Don't feel that way. Don't feel offended when people use certain reference or identify with certain references certain way, because it's really about intent. What is the intent? So today, the things that I used to do as it relates to having the gift of gab,
Hmm.
I do them for good or for positive. So if I'm a
Yeah,
talker or speaker, I want to talk you out of something. I want to talk you out of negative behavior. I want
yeah,
to talk you into a positive view, but I
yeah.
want you to be a part of that decision. So,
Wow.
the confidence game is something that we all need to work towards.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you the question, what is confidence? And so I'm gonna whip out like my pastor's kid hat for a second and just kind of break something. So like when my dad is preaching and he's like, okay, in the Greek or in the Hebrew, is this. So I'm not gonna use Greek and Hebrew, but
Well,
if we go back and we break down that word confidence though into
right.
some of its old school roots, con
I believe it
the
means
part
with.
of the part con is just with, right?
Right.
And the the fidens part is like fidelis. It comes from it relates to faith or having faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or having trust. I mean, it's the same. It's the same as the Marine Corps' motto, "Semper Fi," right?
Right.
Always
Right.
faithful, right?
Right.
Always faithful. If we talk about marriage, if you're an infidel or you're accused of infidelity, you're not being faithful, right? So
Absolutely.
confidence, right, is with faith or with trust. Can I operate with faith in me? Can I operate in a manner that would allow you to have faith in me as well as in yourself?
Exactly.
Right. So
Exactly.
what else do you see if I were to ask you and I just kind of gave the complex scholarly theoretical definition, but I mean, how can you break it down for like us regular folk too, man? What is confidence?
Just having the ability to be untethered,
Yeah.
having the ability to walk into a thing, to do a thing, to speak to a thing, speak
Yeah.
about a thing with a level of assuredness. Honestly, that's basically, to me, one of the best ways to put it. I'm sure there are other ways of phrasing it, but
Yeah.
having that ability and the comfort, and without trying, I'm trying my best not to use the word
Uh-huh.
intentionally, but just having the ability and the comfort to do a thing with assuredness.
Wow.
where you're not rattled and, you have a working knowledge of that thing. And I think that's one of the biggest things about an RK3.
Yeah.
People are afraid of sales mainly because, number one, they don't have a working knowledge of that product or service in most cases, and usually in most cases, it's earlier in their career. So if it's a job, they had to do that job because they couldn't do anything else. And they don't know enough about the product or the service, so they're uncertain. However, you'll find that when you know about a product, a service, a topic, an industry, a profession, you begin to stand tall. You begin to be assured. You begin to be very comfortable as it relates to that discussion or that service, as I said earlier. So, it's important to really, go into a particular thing, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Just either having interest, having experience, or really just being proficient in that area.
Yeah. So I like the experience and the proficiency, and part of what you mentioned just now is like the courage to continue in something, because I also see confidence as repetition. Simply repetition. A lot of times people think about confidence as this switch that you turn on and off, right? It's like they see models walking down a runway and they walk with confidence, or they see the big kid come into a classroom and the kid that's popular and they feel like, oh, that kid is confident and I'm not. And it's just this thing that is innate that they were born with. Yeah, exactly. And they just have. But I also think I think I relate it to when I'm driving a car, right? My daughter got her license a few months ago. And up until the point that she got her license, when we would get in the car, my daughter would say, she would look in the rearview mirrors, look left, look right, fix this, turn around, put some stuff, look at the rear view cam and figure out, okay, how hard do I need to press the gas pedal and all of that stuff, right? I don't think about that stuff. I get in the car and I just go, right? I'm safe, but I just go. And there's some things that I don't have to think about, some things that I can operate confidently with simply because I've done them over and over and over again. Now, here's the thing that people need to understand as well with that. You can be confident in the wrong thing because you've done the wrong thing over and and over and over again.
I can share with you, for example, I became so confident as some of you may or may not know, for a good portion of my life, I spent it in music. Had a band, did track dates, performed all around the place, did the casting calls, all this stuff, mostly in New York.
Yeah.
And as I got older, and at the time I wasn't living right, I was doing a lot of things I should not have been doing. I would take shortcuts, drop a song, a whole key down or a half measure, whatever the case may be. And instead of sustaining a note, I would, just do it briefly, or as they do in the old days, you're singing and you put the microphone out to the audience, taking shortcuts. And what happened to me is that shortcuts became my norm.
Wow.
And the more relaxed I got, the less I was really working my muscle, my diaphragm, my actual vocal cords, the agility that I once had as a vocalist, I lost it. So now, if I were to do a song, I could do a song, maybe two, depending on the key and depending on how long and depending on if there's a vamp, but it's nothing like it used to be, where I could sing all day. We would have rehearsals for 6 and 8 hours.
Wow.
With a break here and there, but I can't do that stuff anymore. And why? I got comfortable and confident with taking shortcuts.
Wow. So if we were to break this thing down into some steps, step 1 is repetition, but step 2 would be repetition in a space of growth, repetition where you're not taking shortcuts. Repetition, which is intended to help you expand or enhance or keep getting better at that specific thing, right? So actually, I want to kind of turn. Go ahead.
No, I'll say I would look at the what as it
Yeah.
relates to confidence.
Yeah, I want to turn for just a second here because I want to relate this to something that we're talking about or we're going to be doing in a few weeks, right? So we're going to be doing something called the Art of You: How to Build Authority and Influence. We're going to be doing this live workshop on December 1st from 5 to 7 p.m. You be on the lookout for the sign up information, how to be a part of that. And as it says on the flyer here, if you are an entrepreneur, coach, emerging leader, speaker, if you're afraid to take risks, if you don't know which platforms to use, if you're not sure about newer methodologies in order to build that authority and influence, then you want to be a part of this workshop. So let's talk about, so confidence, how does that really connect to this subject of authority and influence? Why do we need confidence? Why do we need to be confident? What benefit or advantage does confidence bring us?
Well, it depends if you really care about paying the rent or if you really want to feed yourself. No, I'm being a little bit of a knucklehead. No, honestly, I think the what of a thing is the primary thing. In other words, whatever it is that you're going to go after, whether you're an accountant, an electrician, a speaker or author, whatever it is,
Yeah.
you have to know what it is that you're going after or what it is that you're going to be known for.
Right.
And based on whatever you have selected, whatever you have chosen for yourself, your industry, your profession, that's what you need to be confident at. But you have to make a decision, first of all, of knowing what is it that you're good at? What are you truly or genuinely interested in? Or what have you touched or skirted around, but you never went back to, but you knew you were really fond of that thing? That's what you really want to be confident in as you pursue monetizing a thing, making a living in that area.
Yeah. So if we kind of translate that a little bit, I want to pursue confidence, or I want to be confident because it really helps to bring me clarity about the destination. It helps me to gain money or resources on the way to that destination.
And it pushes you closer to, in the longest of long runs, it pushes you closer to becoming that SME, that subject matter expert, because again, if this is going to be how you earn your keep, so that you can take care of yourself and your loved ones, or if it's just you, it doesn't matter. But if this is how you're going to earn your keep, you want to know what it is that you're going to do. And you want to know all the things you need to know about that particular thing. Again, whether it's your industry or a specific profession, so that you can be looked upon as the expert, the go-to guy, the go-to lady, whatever it may be.
Yeah. So we've navigated through what confidence is. We've started to talk a little bit about why you need confidence. But now we want to look at, what are some of the things that I can do, practical things? How do I build confidence? We kind of implied one before, just when we talked about repetition. But what are some of the other things? What else can I do to actually build confidence? What's the how?
Well, they say, study to show that self-approve, or workman not need be ashamed, right? You have to study. You got to study. You got to do the research. Sometimes both study and research. In the beginning, it's probably more research than anything. You want to look into how does it work. I'll give you a good story. I remember when I first became a speaker. It's so funny. I was so excited at the time. I was doing network marketing, right? And I think it was in Atlanta. And it was the first time I'd seen Les Brown, and he came out and he says, "You got to be willing to do the things today so that others won't do. So you're going to have the things tomorrow others won't have," right? And I had never heard the phrase. I knew who he was, but I had never heard that phrase, and I had never heard it presented in such a manner. And right away, it was like, bing, the light went off over my head or in my mind.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's what I need to be doing. Not network marketing, but speaking, because I had just recently had a series of major changes in my life. And I've been searching, coming from music. At the time, I wasn't singing anymore. I'm trying to find the new version of me. And I said, that's it. So I went out and I started my pursuit in becoming a speaker. I had this blazing red website. I was so happy. I didn't know anything about choosing the right colors. I
Yeah.
didn't know, how do you begin? So you want to do the research. You want to research whatever it is that you're after. You want to research everything you can about your topic,
Hmm.
your profession, your industry, the best practices, and you're not going to get it all at one time.
Yeah.
So that's like what Robert's talking about, what we're going to be doing. We're going to give you an opportunity of putting your toe in, your leg in, getting wet, getting the initial workings of what you want to do, and understanding how to become a little more confident with it, confident at it, and more proficient at the same time. So that research is just one of many things that you're going to do. Research and workshops, learning about how you can get better, how you can, again, become that proficient person.
Yeah, yeah, and I think one of the things inside of all of that, or being confident, one of the things that we've got to be careful as we become confident is doing things ourselves, or feeling the pressure that we've got to do things ourselves, because I think our society has set us up in some ways, right? So that it's like certain things don't count unless you do it yourself. If you get help with it, it doesn't really count. You've got to do it.
You're weak.
You've got to do it yourself. And I like to use the examples of that. There's so many different things in our world. Our sports world tells you this as well. The people that they say conquered Mount Everest, or K1, or won the Tour de France, or did all of these things. There's one person's name that's mentioned, but it doesn't happen with them by themselves. I think about Matthew Henson, right? Who was
Yeah.
credited with finding, or being one of the first persons to travel to the North Pole, right? He didn't roll up to the North Pole by himself. He
Right.
had Sherpas, he had a bunch of people. He had people that he met along the way who lived in the area, or lived close by, who were explorers also, that could help him navigate
Yeah.
towards that. So on your way to influence, on your way to authority, on your way to success, right? On your way, confidence means that is, and notice, if we go with that breakdown before, the con part means with, right? So
Right.
I could say that with implies that I should do that with other people. I should do that with resources. I've got to have mentors. I've got to figure out who my accountability people are. I've got to figure out who my
Yes.
space or my circle what's the English proper grammar? Doesn't matter. All right, I've got to figure out who those people are. Jim Rohn, famous for saying you're the average of the 5 people that you're closest to.
Mm.
Right? I'm like, listen, I've got 5 people in my house. I got 4. I got my wife and 3 kids. That's 4. I got to be real careful with my number 5. Right? I gotta be real picky. I gotta be real picky about that, because the people that surround you are a measure of the confidence that you operate with, or the level of
You
confidence that you can get to. Go ahead, man.
it's funny because sometimes there are people around us that don't really help us,
Yeah.
but their mere presence is just enough to give you that je ne sais quoi about moving forward.
Hmm.
So that when they're not there, suddenly you're less motivated. But
Wow.
when they are there, even though they may not literally lift a finger to help you,
Hmm.
it's like there's someone here that is watching me, or there's someone here that need them to know
Yeah.
that it's important, this work that I'm doing. So you're at your best. You're up for the challenge. It's almost like if the Knicks played the Lakers, right? Now we
Oh
know the
boy.
Knicks
What?
ain't
Come on.
squad.
What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
That's my squad, man.
Wait.
The Knicks are my squad. Win, lose, or draw. But whenever they play the Lakers,
Yeah.
even though they ain't squad, they are a better team because
Right.
they're rising to the challenge. They're rising to a better caliber competitor. And
Mm.
that's almost the same thing, when you're learning to get your professional groove on, it's like you got your sensei, your teacher, your coach, your mentor, whatever it may be. You feel confident, you feel good, you're really taking your notes. It's making sense to you. You can see the finish line. Yeah. But you have to have that same ability when the class is over, that you can continue to move forward with the same energy, the same desire. And sometimes we miss that, which is why we have to learn through repetition.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, this is awesome. And I'm really digging this topic, which even makes me more excited about our session that's coming up December 1st, 5 to 7 p.m. Be on the lookout for information for that. You'll have that information, or we'll be sharing that information by later on this week. But even before we do that, we're going to be having some more of these conversations. RK3 and SCC, Robert Kennedy III and Sir Charles Carey. We're going to be back on tomorrow at about 2:05. We're going to call it 2:05 so we could chew our food and then get on. So we're going to be back on, and tomorrow, what are we talking about tomorrow? Let me see if we wrote this thing down. Say that again.
I said, there's so much stuff we want to throw at folks. It's like, man.
Yeah, I think the thing that we were going to talk about tomorrow is why some people get heard and others don't. All right. So if y'all want to talk with us about that, we want you to come back and just log on to your favorite social media platform, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, or if you're using Periscope, you can log on there too. All right. So you're gonna
one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look, what do you guys think confidence is, or what is confidence to you? You know, have you ever analyzed it, ever thought about it, or considered it? Share your thoughts on how you see confidence, or maybe just share your thoughts on what we've shared with you about confidence. Love to get your feedback.
Love it. Love it. Put that information in the chat. And even if we're not live, if you're just watching it on the real replay, we're going to come back and answer those questions. And we're going to connect with you in the chat or in the status or where this is. Do me a favor. Share this video. If you believe that you saw something valuable, you heard something valuable, heard something important today, make sure that you share this video with your friends, share it on your Facebook page, share it with your church, share it with your work, really. Share it with your family. If you heard something valuable, share it. And if you want to get a little bit more information on what we're talking about, hang with us. Come back, join us tomorrow at 2:05. And we're going to be doing some stuff this week. We're going to be having quite a few conversations this week because we want to get you in the room with us when we talk a little bit more about the art of you, how to build authority and influence. Listen, I know that 2020 has been crazy, right? And so now it's time to start getting yourself equipped to be the best, be your best, be at your best in 2021. And you don't have to wait till 2021. Let's just get in the room and get what you need to get so that you can impact the world right now. Yeah. You've got a story. You've got something to share. It's time for you to impact, influence, and inspire someone. So let's do that. Let's do that.
Breathe life into it. Yeah, breathe life into it, y'all.
Love it. Listen, y'all, we're getting on out of here. We'll see y'all. We'll be back tomorrow at 2:05 Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you tomorrow. We're jamming, and we're on our way out.
On the one.
2 musicians. All right.
I know, right?